Okay, it is time for some more Bible Bibble Babble. The last video seemed to upset quite a few people actually, Christians. You've been pulled to the pit and altered. The altar is at the pulpit. They pull you to the pit to alter you. Your little silver money plates that go around in the churches, that's lunar pillar. You're paying the piper. You got to get out of the churches. We're in a time of deception. Everything is a lie. None of this is real. A lot of us, myself in particular, but I get a lot of confirmation from in the comments and other videos on other channels that this feels like a deja vu we're in. But it's so bad. It's so bad that it's obvious. It's obvious. At least to those of us who have ears that see and eyes that can hear. Let's just get right into this because y'all don't know what time it is. The time is not what we've been told. Let's just get right into this because the big problem is there's a breakdown between what you understand as Armageddon, which ushers in a 1,000-year reign of Christ, and Gog and Magog. Those are two different things. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the old dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Let's back up, actually, so you'll know where we're at in this timeline. Let's go back to 19. And after these things, I heard a great voice of much people in heaven, singing, Alleluia, salvation, glory, honor, power, unto the Lord our God. For true and righteous are his judgment. For he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth and her fornication, and hath avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. And again they said, Alleluia, and her smoke rose up for ever and ever. And 24 elders and the 4 beasts fell down and worshipped God that sat on the throne, singing, Amen, Alleluia. And a voice came out of the throne, saying, Praise our God, all ye servants, and ye that fear him, both great and small. And I heard, as it were, the voice of a great multitude, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thundering, saying, Alleluia, for the Lord God omnipotent reigneth. Let us be glad and rejoice, and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And to her was granted that she would be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. And he said unto me, Right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he saith unto them, These things are the true sayings of God. And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, and thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus. Worship God, for the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. And his eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, and that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress, and the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. And he hath on his vestures and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun. And he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God. This is post-Armageddon battle. 18 is the Armageddon battle, where they take down the whore of Babylon. That ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sat on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both great and small. And I saw the beast, and the kings of the earth, and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse, and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire and brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, whose sword proceedeth out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. So now we come to 20. So we've had the Battle of Armageddon, which ushers in this 1,000 years. We're throwing Satan in the pit for 1,000 years. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the old dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. And he cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that he must be loosed a short season. This is where we're at. This is where I think we're at, right here. That he's been in the pit for 1,000 years, and now he's out to deceive the nations. You have 1,000-year reign of Christ that has ended. We've had priests and thrones all over Europe, and even the world. Every culture has had their kings. Every race and nation have had their kings. This, that he should, and they cast him in the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years are fulfilled. So he's coming out to deceive the nations. It's a deception. And he's done this before, right? We just read it. We read how he set up this, what's called the Whore of Babylon. And now we're doing it again. This is a repeat. This is Pete and repeat. That's why it feels like deja vu, like we've been here before. Haven't we already done this? Everybody's screaming rapture, 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 when you don't even really understand what rapture is. Rapture is what occurs to you, everybody raptures, good or bad. Everybody raptures when you die. You come out of your body. When I drowned it in the pool, I was aware I had two bodies. My mortality had put on immortality, or my immortality looks like my mortality. It was incredible. They look just alike, which is ironic, because when you open your third eye, you meet this person that looks like you, but the opposite gender. At least most, it's opposite gender. I have my own theories for that. But, well, I've told you how I think conception happens. The egg is both male and female. It's androgynous. So when it gets fertilized, it becomes either male or female. So that other part, it has to go live where? In the thalamus, the pineal gland. It's the other part of you that died so you could live here. It died. It was crucified and died and went to heaven, your head, to live there. So, we've got this deception. And it's gonna be quick. It's gonna be quick. We have all this evidence of another civilization that academia refuses to acknowledge. All of our institutions are corrupted. The education system, the financial system, the religious system. These are all heads of the beast. These different systems. A beast is a system. It's not a creature. It's an egregore. It has a living entity behind it. Whether conscious or not, it's an energy. It's a force. We're told in Revelation that these beings, these people that worship this thing, they worship what is called the God of forces. Sometimes it's translated fortresses. But you have heaven and earth, and then you have the forces, which are fire and ice. That's why they're always at battle. In a duality, they're always going to oppose, come together, and then break off again, just like an eclipse. Sometimes they come together. You have the black sun. It's peace in the mystery schools. You have 2 mystery schools. They represent 2 pillars. I'm getting off track, but this is all connected. So let me finish this, and then my reason for thinking this is because 1, the Mandela effect. 2, freaking deja vu. We've already done this. The lies of academia on all levels, in every subject, every freaking subject is a lie. And the deception, because that's what he does. He's coming to deceive. But it truly is with me, knowing I came into this world knowing that it was supposed to be something different. And I'm very aware from immediately when I was in the body, this place is all wrong. I know how it's supposed to be. And this ain't it. It's like I walked in the wrong door or in the wrong body with the wrong family in the wrong year on the wrong planet. There was nothing right about it. But I kind of had a knowing that I'm in the right place. But boy, what the hell happened before I got here? Let's keep going. And I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. That's been done. I think that's been done. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Even before we had, I guess we were around the hollow earth awakening. What's that? Like 2008 to 2010. And, then we've moved to flat earth, and now we've moved to mud flood. Even before we started with hollow earth, and I was studying, everything I studied, there seemed to be a big gap somewhere. it's like a missing link in time. How do we connect these two? Because there's this big old gap missing. And now we clearly see the missing gap, the rewritten history. And it's really, really clear how this happens over and over again when you start studying the zodiacs. And I mean, I knew nothing about what you call astrology. I was literally just studying symbology and the images of the zodiac. So I was going around the world, on the internet, of course, and I have talked to different people, about their original zodiacs, what I would call, pre-colonization, before the colonistas. I think it happened like in the 15th century. The 15th or 16th century, to me, is when the 1,000 years ended. And it has a lot to do with the alchemy books that I was reading on occult.biz. They were handwritten manuscripts that had been painstakingly photographed page by page and uploaded to this site. And it was the dates of them and the way they referred to things. And that's when, I guess we called it the Renaissance, Enlightenment. And how everything was so encoded, so they were terrified of being caught, of the consequences of being caught. They feared for more than just their own lives with these books and what they were trying to convey. So to me, we're here. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no part, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. This is where we're at. We're in a deception, and we're being gathered together for this battle. So clearly, Armageddon, the fall of the whore of Babylon, is not the same as Gog and Magog. Now, we can go more in here if you like later. I'll eventually end up doing all of Revelation. I've already done parts of it, but my understanding is so much more now. There's so much more information. But what I want to talk about now, hold on, let me take you somewhere. I want to talk about Yajuj and Majuj. That is the Gog and Magog from the Bible. And it's from the Quran. It's from Islam. I don't want to say just Quran because I think it's in some of the hadiths and other writings. But I'm going to tell you the story how it was told to me. Now, I heard this story in like 1982-83. I was in Houston, Texas, and I lived with a bunch of Arabs, Saudi Arabs. And one of my roommates was super religious and super strict. He was so self-disciplined. He always did his prayer, and he didn't care what the others were doing. They were partying, had girlfriends, a good time. No, this guy was 100% sold out. And he knew his Quran, and he knew his hadiths. So I got him to tell me the story. Now bear with me. I'm sure you can find this all over the internet and YouTube to verify or fact check me. But I'm going to tell it how I remember it. So there's this guy, and his name is Dhul-Qarnayn, and I guess he's somewhat like we would look at Alexander the Great, but he's not Alexander the Great. But the timelines are close. It's like 5,000 years ago, before the Quran is written. They're talking about prehistory. So to me, I'm thinking, because of the way they tell the story, that this guy is coming from like Afghanistan, Pakistan area, because he's like the opposite of Alexander the Great. And then again, he reminds me of like somebody from the Medes and the Persians, that kingdom, because of there are two kings. He's one of two kings. And so he has this great army, and he's just going around instituting justice. He's instituting justice. And he has traveled, he has rule like Alexander the Great did over the whole world, all of known civilization. So he's traveling, doing justice with this army, and he's traveling to the setting sun. West. He's going west to the setting sun. And he comes upon this place, and they describe it as the water is cloudy or murky. I would call it brackish, and it boiled. Well, back then when he told me this, it didn't mean anything to me. I'm thinking bubbling, dirty water, right? Volcanic water or something. Volcanic spring. If you've ever been to hot springs, you'll kind of understand that. But now that I understand symbology, I understand what that is. So he goes to these people, that he goes as far as he can go to the setting sun, and he comes to these people who speak a tongue he cannot understand. Never heard this tongue before. And they're pretty much backwoods. Like we would say the Bedouins. They're migratory, and they don't keep their self. They're barbaric. They're uncivilized. They're uncivilized. And they're very distressed. Dhul-Qarnayn, he's very, kind to them. He wants to help these people. Now, to me, when you say, boiling water, I'm sorry, that's a Star of David. I can't help but see that in my mind. Murky, meaning mixed. It's the water mixed with fire. It's water mixed with fire. It's a mixed people. They're either Caucasians or Eurasians. They're a mixed race. So which is funny, because how in the Arabic, they use the Yajuj or Gog, they J-U-J, and we say G-O-G. But in the tongue, I do linguistics, remember, that's my thing. I know that that's also a K. It's a cock. So it's almost like saying the cocks and the Caucasians. To me, there's this big move to hate white people. But it is the Caucasians that are making this move. They're the ones, they'll tell you they have Asian blood in them. And they know they do. That's the whole point about the Jews. The Jews. They're Caucasians. They're Asians and Caucasians. They're whites and Caucasians. They're mixed. So they have a problem. These poor, pitiful people have a problem, that they're being invaded by Yajuj and Majuj. These people are. And they come in, they raid them, they're taking all their food, they're beating, they're taking slaves, they're raping their women, they're robbing them of everything they got, pillaging them, set it on fire and leave like a bunch of raiders, right? That's what Yajuj and Majuj is doing to these people of the boiling water. So they begged Dhul-Qarnayn for help. They said, we'll give you all of our money if you will fight these, stop this from happening to us, from these Yajuj and Majuj. They lived through, it was between two mountains, and there was like this one valley between these two mountains, and that's where Yajuj and Majuj would come from, out of the north. They would come out of the north and invade these people, but that was their only way in. So Dhul-Qarnayn told them that he didn't want their money, that he would help them. Allah, because of Allah, he would help them. And that he told them to bring iron. He told them to bring all the iron that you can bring. So they were bringing these rocks or nuggets, whatever, iron. They're different translations, but they piled it up in between these two mountains, and they built the biggest fire ever, and they made bellows, and they started blowing the fire. And then they got all the copper, and they put that there too, and melted all that with the iron. So they have this huge wall of copper and iron that block Yajuj and Majuj from attacking these people ever again. So on the other side of the wall, when Majuj and Yajuj find the wall and realize they can't get through it, they start digging. And they've been digging ever since until they get through the wall. And when they get through the wall, then the what they call the Malhama, or what we call the Battle of Gog and Magog, occurs when they get through this wall. So, that being said, let me go back to the Bible. Actually, let me come to the stars, because this is where we need to be now to understand what the story I just told you. So, if we're talking about 5,000-year-old story of Dhul-Qarnayn, then we're literally talking about the age of Gemini. And this guy's going to build a wall, and it's going to, Taurus is copper and Aries is iron. Scorpio is iron and Libra is copper. And you have copper on the bottom and iron on top, and iron on the bottom and copper on top. This is the wall. Now it says that Yajuj and Majuj, why haven't we found these people now? They live underground. That's because Yajuj and Majuj are the two mystery schools. They are hidden. They got, after the age of Gemini, when they came into Taurus, they had to go underground. It's what we call secret societies. Now, we know that both pillars, both pads, both crosses on the outside, they're all have Jupiter as the foundation. The lunar pillar has Jupiter as the foundation, and the solar pillar, or the fire pillar, has Jupiter as the foundation. Both of them. And so they had to go underground. Jupiter is freaking Yahweh. I don't know how to get around this, how they have so deceived everybody as to thinking there's one God. In the age of Gemini was the Greeks, and Sagittarius was Zeus. That's Zeus, Jupiter. It's the mutable cross is always about Jupiter and Mercury. And we know that Mercury is Loki, right? He's the trickster. He's the trickster. All of our commerce is set up on fiat currency. That's out of thin air. That's Gemini. In this age, I'm talking about this age of the mutable cross. The Whore of Babylon is about the mutable age. So they put her down way back over here. And we've already had this. They've lied to us about everything. They've lied to us about time. Islam uses the lunar calendar. Islam uses the lunar calendar. Everything east, they say Jerusalem, but it's really Giza. Everything east of Giza is lunar or Eastern. Everything west is solar, or what we would call tropical astrology. But alchemy is neither one of those pillars. It's that middle path. It's the path of heaven on earth. Instead of this constant battle of fire and ice, this constant battle of Zhuge and Mazhuge. That repeating cycle that happens over and over and over again. So to me, even Islam right now is ramping up, not for an Armageddon. They don't have that story. To them, when we say Armageddon and Gog and Magog, it's like most Christians. Y'all think that's one battle. They're 1,000 years apart. And something went down that destroyed everything. And there's no doubt in my mind, everything now is a deception. Nothing is real. Nothing. And everything's a lie. I guess that's, there's a statement in the New Testament. This is, God says, I will send strong delusion to cause them to believe the lie. Singular, the, not a lie, the lie. That's because everything is a lie. Who we are, what our history is, what this place is, what reality is, what consciousness is. And it's incredible. Even the Nag Hammadi talks about it. It's called, when Yaldabaoth created this, and catch the Yah right at it. Yahjus, Yaldabaoth, Yahweh, that J-A-H, that Y-A-H, that's always the Jew Peter. Peter the Jew is Jew Peter. And he's dying upside down in this age. So when you flip it, now you have Mercury dominant, which is the economy. The economy, commerce. It's all about fiat currency out of thin air. In Arabic, they call it, what's going on, the deception, this fake money and usury, they call it riba. Riba. Riba is usury. We have a female singer called Reba McEntire. The entire, everything is Reba. The entire. I've told y'all how Disney uses the Arabic language and we do their rituals. We do my roommate, his name was Asa, which is what they call Jesus. And he would do his prayers and he would do this Hamdallah. And I go, oh, well, we do that. Disney does that. Hamdulillah, 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 Hamdulillah. So, a lot of the names of Hollywood stars, that's not their real names, right? Actors get pseudonyms. Like Marissa Tomei. That's an anagram for, it's me, Mario. No shit. It's me, Mario, is Marissa Tomei. Just think about what I'm telling you. Everything. It's this big play. This was all written before. We've done this before. They're following a script, or they're attempting to. They're attempting to follow a script and pull off the same deception. I call it the shell game. It's a shell game. You got to find which they have 3 shells and which ball is under it. Even the shell game has 3 shells. The 3 crosses, the 3 paths, the 3 pillars. The only way to not lose, you can't win in a shell game. And there is no winning. You can only lose. So the only way to not lose is to not play. Now, the house always wins. The house. This is Jupiter's house. We're in Jupiter's age. This is Jupiter's world and Jupiter's house. It got flipped. Now it's Mercury's house. It's Virgo's house. It's the whore of Babylon's house. It's a Pete and repeat. We've already done this. We've already done this. Juge and Majuge done got through that wall. The seal has been broken. I don't know any other way to put it. We looked at the same thing in Daniel. That everybody's waiting on an antichrist. Everybody's waiting on a rapture. Everybody's waiting on shit that happened 1,000 years ago. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan, Jupiter, Christ called the Jew Peter, Satan, to his face, shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of who is the sands of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and encompassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. They didn't even get camped out before they're shut down. There is no battle. It never happens. They get wiped out before they even get their tents set up. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was no place found for them. Taurus and Gemini. Or in this age, it would be Gemini and Virgo, Mercury, ruling heaven and earth. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. I don't see no mercy and grace here. Your works is you reap what you sow. Karma and Dharma. This is Aquarius. Now we enter Aquarius. We cannot enter Aquarius until the battle of Gog and Magog. We can't be in 2 places at once. You can't have Armageddon and Yajuj and Majuj at the same time. And the sea gave up her dead, Pisces, which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead, which were in them, and they were judged, every man according to their works. So I'm always telling you to bank karma. That mercy door is shut. Jupiter is the god of mercy and grace. But Peter's dying upside down now. It's over, Rover. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. Sagittarius, the second death. And that's in the mind, by the way. The second death and hell and fire are in your mind. It's like going insane. It's insanity. Some H.P. Lovecraft shit there. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. Aquarius and Capricorn. For the first heaven and first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea, Pisces. And I, John, saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, the new Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard with a great voice, we moved to a fixed air. Fixed air is Aquarius. We're going to get a stable zodiac. Finally. That's our new Jerusalem. It's a pure zodiac. It's a stable zodiac. It's an accurate zodiac. Which is an alchemical magic circle of nature. They've disrupted it. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle, not temple, tabernacle of God is within men, and he will dwell within them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be within them and be their God. There's no temple in the new city. And God, the third eye does not have a temple. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, neither crying, neither there shall be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. This is what it feels like to be in your immortal body, to shed your mortal body, like when I drowned in that pool. There was no more fear of death. I realized instantly, there's no such thing as death at all. And I wasn't sorry, and I didn't cry for my body, and there was no more pain. I could breathe underwater. I was amazed. I didn't want to go back in the body. And so to get here, you gotta have your light body. Because you can't experience any of this. You can't experience pain in your light body. It's not hungry. It's not thirsty. It's not sleepy. It's not tired. It don't hurt. It don't need to rest. It don't even need air. And he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, it is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. That's another statement that this is Aquarius. The water of life that the water bearer brings, that he's pouring out in the images. That's the water of life. He that overcometh shall inherit all things. Overcometh, that's a word that's so associated with Saturn. You got to go through the fire. You got to finish the race. I don't care if you have to crawl. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. How many times you got to reincarnate back to this place till you get it right? How many times you go? My older sister went to the first grade 3 times. They finally just gave up and promoted her. And I was forced to do her homework from then on out. She finally just quit in the 7th grade. At the 6th grade, they wouldn't let us be together anymore. And she was so much older than the rest of us anyway. She had done failed so many grades, she was a lot older than us. So she just quit. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. But the fearful, lower chakra, unbelieving, lower chakra, abominable, lower chakra, murderers, whoremongers, sorcerers, idolaters, liars, shall have their part in the lake of fire that burneth with fire and brimstone. Lower chakra. Sagittarius is lower chakra, which is the second death. And there came unto me one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials full of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, come up hither, and I will show ye the bride, the Lamb's wife. Thalem's wife. Thalem's wife. Fomalhaut's wife. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great high mountain. That's Capricorn. And he showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, the Jerusalem, descending out of air, heaven, South America, from God, Aquarius. and having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like unto jasper stone, clear as crystal. I'm not going to go through all the gates in that. We can do that at a different date. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls, which is also a star. And every several gate was of one pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold. It was sun, solar astrology, as it were transparent glass. And I saw no temple therein. For the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb, Fomalhaut, are the temple of it. Saturn and Fomalhaut are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it. Don't need solar astrology or lunar astrology, for the glory of the middle pillar did lighten it. And the Lamb, Thalem, is the light thereof. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor unto it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And when you're in, like when I opened my third eye when I was little, and I walked in that land of milk and honey, it was towards sunset. I would say the sun was about one sun off the horizon. It was probably an hour before it hit the horizon when this happened to me. And all of a sudden, everything around me was full of light. The plants, the grass, the sky, the air itself emitted light. There's no, the sun was suddenly just dim compared to this being standing in front of me. The light that emanated was incredible. Everything is alive and living, all of it, in this land of milk and honey. It's a golden, yellow, white light that just emanates love. It sings. There aren't words to describe it. But when I read this, I know what I'm reading. I know, 'cause I've been here. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth bring their glory and honor to it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring glory and honor of the nations into it. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. And understand, this is talking about a zodiac. But as above, so below. Right now, as above, below, and below is mutable earth and mutable water. It's a muddy mess. It is a mud flood. When Peter turned upside down, when the Vatican flipped, and they started dealing in mammon, money, right? It became about the money. And to me, that's when the mud flood happened. And it's all over the world, but it's a very European thing, or Tartarian. Russia is also part of Europe. And that's the end. That's the end of the story. We're at the end of the story. We get the three-eyed raven now. We don't get a battle of Armageddon. We're not going to have that battle of fire and ice anymore. That's over, Rover. Done deal. Tell you what we do have right now is Saturn and Mercury both retrograde opposite of each other. Let's go look at that. No wonder I woke up with all this on my mind. I'm just getting up. It's like, I guess 2 a.m. here. I've been up since about 12:45. My schedule's upside down. We've had rolling thunderstorms here just it's just, my ground is so saturated. It's hard to mow the grass at all. Even if you get one sunny day, the ground is so wet. And it's just, poor Kelly's about to lose her mind. We had one of the worst. It's the lightning and the thunder. Wow. I know people around the world are getting floods and volcanoes and earthquakes everywhere. Well, here, it's not so much. We've had some hail, but it's the lightning and the thunder, the booms that just rattle the ground. Now, we have a Mercury retrograde coming into combust of the sun. Again, this is commerce. This is navigation. This is logic and intelligence. But foremost, this is communication breakdown. I wouldn't be shocked if we had an intentional communication shutdown. Let's see where we're at now. We're at 82 and the sun is at 76. Yes, so we're not only retrograde, we're in combustion. We're in combustion, and that's going to last for a while. Venus has moved along to Gemini and Mars. Here's the scary thing, especially if you look at the perspective that we're not facing Armageddon. Christ is not coming back. There is no rapture. This is Yajuj and Majuj, people. This is Gog and Magog fixing to go down. So they very well could want to start a war here. And how many days? 2 days. On the 9th. On the 9th, Mars goes into Cancer, into debilitation. So we'll have Mars debilitated, Mercury retrograde, combust of the sun. Saturn is retrograde. The gloves are off. The gloves are off. It's no holds barred right now. And these two pillars are at war. And then Jupiter's going to go retrograde. So we're going to have does Jupiter go into, does he make it back to Capricorn? That's what I want to know. I don't think so. Yeah, he's going to go all the way back into Capricorn. Let's see when it happens. On the 18th is the last day, so on August the 19th, Jupiter has to come back under the foot of Saturn, back into debilitation, back into Saturn's house of Capricorn, which Aquarius is Saturn's house too. Jupiter is still under the authority of Saturn right now, but Jupiter hates being in Capricorn. He loathes Saturn with every part of his being. Can't stand him. So to be in his house debilitated and under his foot is really hard for Jupiter to choke. And at the same time, well, at least Mars will be out of Cancer, but we'll have a Mars-Mercury conjunction with the Sun in Leo. That this is eclipse territory, right? This is where the first part of the eclipse happened, was at the foot of the cross. Regulus is the nail in the feet of the Messiah. Venus debilitated in Virgo. You can see how this is turning ugly. The further we get into the summer. And we still haven't reached that point where they're gathered up in another sign. So we're going to continue to see these earthquakes and volcanoes. And obviously floods. At the end of June going into July, that should flip. And where you're seeing floods now, you'll see the volcanoes and earthquakes. And where you're seeing the earthquakes and volcanoes now, it'll flip to that water-air cycle. Tornadoes and water. All the elements have been unleashed. All of them. The world is rocking, rolling, spinning, wobbling. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. The deception, the lies, the illusion, delusion. No need in trying to wake people up or talk them out of it. You're just going against God, because he said he did this on purpose. That he sent them strong delusions to cause them to believe this lie. And this is all a test. We're being tested one more time. What happens at the end of the hero's journey? There's one final test, and it's one of your loyalty. It's one of your loyalty. And who are you loyal to? Vishnu was loyal to his dog. It's to each other. God lives within us. When you're kind to each other, you're being kind to him. Christ said, when you've done it to the least of these, you've done it unto me. Don't try to save the world. It's not yours to save. Don't try to exact vengeance. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. It's not your battle. We don't have to battle. We don't have to battle. It's his battle. All we got to do is overcome. That's endure to the end. Just finish the race. Just hang in there. Don't give up. Overcome means don't give up. And then you shall inherit all things. Inherit all things. Which is the kingdom of Aquarius. It's what we thought we were incarnating into when we got here. But we didn't. We've arrived at a great, great deception. A great deception. We're at the 1,000 years are expired. You know, when in the Islamic version, when they talk about Yajuj and Majuj, they're digging, trying to get out. It is the zodiac that blocked them, right? So they're digging. What have they been doing? What is this digging? It's not trying to dig through a wall. It's research. They've been trying to get back what they lost. Jupiter represents Asia and Europe. Europe for water, Pisces, and Asia for fire, Sagittarius. So does Mars. Mars represents Europe for water in Scorpio, and it represents Asia for fire in Aries. Fire and ice are totally ruled by Jupiter and Mars. Respectively, they're the sun and the moon, right? But we clearly, the way they've set up the zodiac, Mars is at the top of the solar pillar, not the sun. Mars outranks the sun. And so all that's going to be fixed. We get the new zodiac in its right place, all the right ways. The door's never shut. We can go in and out anytime we please. And there's no night there. Isn't that wonderful? And it's going to be beautiful. New heaven, new earth. Let's read it again. All things new. New heaven, new earth. And we get the holy city, the new Jerusalem coming down out of heaven. New zodiac. Zodiac's feminine because it's a circle, which is feminine. No more tears. We get our glorified bodies. This mortality shall put on immortality. In the twinkling of an eye. That third eye. What's the saying? If you die before you die, then you never die. Because if you die before you die, you realize there's no death, and you know you can't ever die. There's no such thing. We are energy, and consciousness is energy, and it can't be destroyed. It can only change from one form to another. You know, it's like the three pillars, three paths, three sticks. In science, the three states of matter, which are liquid, solid, and gas. And somebody said something to me about plasma. Plasma falls in the line of more of consciousness. It is like between two. It's mutable. It's almost a liquid state and almost a gaseous state. It's almost an immaterial spiritual state. It's considered outside of matter. Would we call that antimatter? Consciousness? It's more related to consciousness or energy. How do you put electricity? Is electricity a solid, liquid, or gas? Well, it's not matter. It's in the spiritual state. It's an air thing. One of the words we use there are like 4 different languages on the earth. Remember, language is my thing. And you have an earth language, a fire language, a water language, and an air language, or a heavenly language. The heavenly language is referred to as the language of the birds. Language of the birds. So, what else? I think I'm pretty clear. And then you'll have to make your own decision. Are we at Armageddon, or are we at Gog and Magog? I might suggest you go watch let the people of Islam teach you about Yajuj and Majuj, and try to find the story of Dhul-Qarnayn, because that's where you're going to understand it. That's where you're going to understand it more. But it clearly, oh my goodness, I can't see us. I can't process this thing people call rapture. This just really blows my mind. I guess because I'm tainted. I know what it's like to be out of the body. I know what it's like to open your third eye. I know what the word I enraptured when I opened my third eye. I raptured right out of my body. So I get it. But also at the same time, they seem to be under the impression that you're taking your body with you and everybody's just going to disappear. That's not going to happen. Matter of fact, we're told that's not going to happen because there's dead bodies everywhere, and they've got to call the birds in to come eat the bodies of the kings and the priests and the mighty men. You got to come get what's material stays material. But in chapter 21, when it's talking about the new city and the new Jerusalem and the new heaven and the new earth, this is really beyond the physical body. We're moving from lower chakra to upper chakra. And it's as simple as that. This world is dividing, and you need to decide. I advise you, right now, it's dividing into 3, because the solar pillar and the lunar pillar are fighting amongst themselves. You need to get out of that battle. It's not your battle. It's all a lie, and it's all a deception. It's all a deception. Get out of that lie. Both sides, they always come together. The sun and the moon work together. They always have. They always will. Those 2 pillars. They all have Jupiter at their foundation. That's never going to change. Not until we get the new zodiac, the new Jerusalem, the new bride. That's when it changes. Until then, we've got to deal with the parameters that have been set. And all we have to do is overcome. That's it. You don't have to fight anything. The greatest thing you have to overcome is yourself. It's your fears. You got to move out of the fear of the lower chakra. The thing we fear the most is the unknown. We're so afraid of the unknown. when you move out of, you can never know in fear. Fear kicks in adrenaline, and adrenaline shuts down the thalamus that shuts down the pineal gland. You can never know shit if you walk around in fear. You're going to have to overcome that fear, and you don't even have to walk in faith. You need to walk in knowing. You need to walk in knowing. And hopefully that'll happen. Now, I guess what I'm getting with, let me back up one. When he's let out to go deceive the nations again, and let me see. And they went upon the breadth of the earth and encompassed the camp of the saints about and the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. Again, this word fire, it can be light. It's wallah. It means light. I'm wondering, is this, a light out of heaven can be Aquarius, so that can just simply be the star Fomalhaut. What? Triggers everybody's pineal gland? That's the way I see it. But I guess some are calling it a flash. What do they call it? The flash from the galactic sun. No, sorry. It's not a galactic sun, but it is a star that represents the thalamus in your head that activates your pineal gland. But I do understand it comes through our sun. It translates from Aquarius to Fomalhaut to our sun to us and the earth simultaneously. All right, I think I've covered everything. What we need to be, the days we need to be watching out for. Let's bring it back to now. Moon-Uranus conjunction right now in Aries. Moon is water. Aries is both cardinal water, cardinal fire, and there's our mind right in the middle of it. Uranus, our conscious mind. Yeah, Mars going debilitated here in a couple of days. So, that's your actions and your emotions. I like it here because if it's properly channeled, it's what I call peace on earth, because you're emotionally debilitated. But it can also be a burden. It can be a burden to some, that you're trying to get shit done and you just can't get it done. No actions, low energy, fatigue. It's a good time to take a vacation, or a rest, or I wouldn't say put down your projects or take a break, because sometimes if you put down a project or take a break, you kind of break the magic and it don't work anymore. But don't exert too much energy. Find things to do that require the path of least resistance. You're not going to have a lot of energy. Matter of fact, you could be emotionally exhausted there if you try to do too much. It's just not going to be there. Mercury in Venus's house and Venus in Mercury's house. And he's retrograde. So Venus is in mutable air. And Mercury's in fixed earth. Retrograde combust. Poor Mercury. The trickster just can't seem to pull it off right now. And when actually is Jupiter going retrograde? I seen when he went into Capricorn, but I didn't get the exact day. Why didn't he show me? Oh, I'm not paying attention to the numbers. So, like at the solstice, right after the solstice, 21, 22, Jupiter goes retrograde. Now that's interesting, to be in the belly button and then go, which he rules the belly button, to go retrograde. I want to look at this in the Arabic while we're here. The images are very different. It gives you a different take on it all. Let's come back to now. Now. Nothing really jumping out. Just Mercury and the Sun between the horns of the bull. Let's watch them for a few days and see where they go. Is that Mercury there? No. Is that Mercury? No. Let me pull it back. There's Mercury. No. Stop it. It won't let me get what I want. Mercury. I want to see if we can get a Kissimmee out of it regardless. 79.55 and 80. So on the 10th, which is 3 or 4 days, 3 days, you're going to have Mercury the 9th. It's going to be on the 9th. Am I right on that? Let me move it back up to the 10th. Okay, that's the moon. Oh yeah, we get the eclipse. The eclipse that goes over the northern hemisphere. It's going to be for Canada, part of the United States, but you won't get full solar eclipse. You'll only get partial eclipse. Let me see if I can grab Mercury right here. I want to see when he's... So on the 9th, we get the eclipse. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. It's not giving me the view I want. I want to see the Mercury line up. There we go, on the 10th. We get the ring of fire, right? You don't get the full eclipse, you get the ring of fire. But Mercury almost in alignment with it. But he's going to be communication shut down right there. Let's see if I can get the alignment right about there. Here, let's get me some help here. That's about right. So almost on the 11th, the late at night on the 10th, Mercury will go Kissimmee. I call it Kiss Me. It's an easier way to remember it. And that is actually amplifies this energy of Mercury. He's actually considered not combust. But because he's retrograde, it's going to amplify the retrograde energy. So I wouldn't advise traveling at this time if you can help it. If you do, make sure you have a spare. Make sure your gas is, you have gas in your tank. You don't want to run out of gas. You don't want to be stranded. It's like getting a flat tire and getting stranded there on trips. Communication breakdown, lose your cell phone, break your cell phone. But the eclipse, that's going to affect Canada, parts of Europe, Russia, Yeah, it's your first eclipse out of 2. The United States done had its first one. We get our second one in 2024. This is Canada and Russia's first one. And then they'll have another one in 7 years. So they get their 3.5-year period too. What was unique about the United States is that our 3.5 years between the 2 eclipses landed on a winter solstice with a Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in Capricorn. That's what was so unusual about the eclipse in the United States. But we've had the South American, and now we get the way northern hemisphere, to where Alaska, Canada, Russia, I'm assuming parts of China will all be in that. I actually haven't looked. I guess I need to go look. I forgot all about it till I seen it here. Alright, this video's over an hour long now, and I need to get this wrapped up and processed up. I need to get another chart done. I'm doing them as I can. I spent 4 days on one last week. What a battle that was. So be patient with me. I'm getting there. And they're getting better. Oh my goodness, the charts are getting so much better. I know so much more information now, and it's just really been flowing. So when I get into them, I'm really connecting with them right now. And I just need to take advantage of that while it's here. It makes me feel better about it. I don't want to do a half-ass chart. If I get shut down, distractions and noises, and both of my neighbors have moved out. I don't have a neighbor on either side of me now. My one neighbor I guess he got in a fight with the landlord and he moved out. So I've got people over there working in both of these houses, and now I think this week I'm going to have new neighbors move in on both sides. And I think I met the ones on what I call my side. Yeah, and they have a dog. They have a big dog. Very noisy dog. So I need to take advantage of the quiet time while I have it. Right now I'm being shut down by thunderstorms, lightning, and crap. I'm shutting my computer off. I've done lost too many. I've got surge protectors, but I don't trust them. So, and it has just thunderstormed. I'm waiting on the ark to come floating by any day now. And I don't see any let up in the near future either. They're just screaming more and more and more rain for us. And it's not really a whole lot of rain. It's not like we're flash flooding, but just the booms and the lightnings that, oh my goodness. I mean, it's rocking the ground. It's really, they're so close and there's so many of them. Are any of y'all experiencing this? I know these fronts are running all the way down through Texas, and they're traveling across into Arkansas and Louisiana, and whew, they're rough here. It got a little scary today. Poor Kelly. I mean, she trembles, literally, just shaking, trembling. And I got the closet set up for her, a little apartment, and I literally have to go in there with her and just sit and hold her. It's almost as bad as the seizures, the way she shakes. She's just terrified of it, and I don't know what to do to help her. I really don't. If anybody has any ideas, I would super appreciate it, because I don't want to medicate her if I don't have to, but the poor girl is just stressed to no end when this goes down. All right, I love y'all bunches. You know what to do. Bank your karma, and hey, I want to thank a few people, because I actually hit what I call double-digit donations this last month, 11. That's a record for me. I've never had that many in 1 month. And I've even had a few gifts sent to me. Some books. I have a new coffee cup, and it's got my name on it with a beautiful magnolia flower. I love it. I absolutely love it. I needed an extra one. I had one that was gifted to me when I first moved in as a housewarming gift. Matter of fact, it was the only housewarming gift I received. So I was happy to have it. And I love it. It's got birds on it. But I don't have a backup. Well, now I do. So thank you for that. I love it. I've gotten a lot of gifts in the past that most of them that I got in Las Vegas, all that was stolen from me when I lived in Colgate. Everything was taken. But I have a few now that's been sent to me. Books. Susan keeps sending me books that I absolutely love. Even that set of encyclopedias, I'm still just tickle pink about that. But I had another subscriber send me a gift that I'm just in awe of. It is, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a stone. It's like a pillar, a small totem. It's about 1.5 feet high. It's about 18 inches high. And it's like a marble or some type of sandstone. And it's got a Native American carved into one side of it. And it's got the sun on it. And it's just beautiful. I'll have to take some pictures of it and show you. I guess it's supposed to kind of like you use it for something in your garden or your front patio or doorstep. I'm so protective of it. I'm so terrified that it's with Kelly bouncing around here, it's going to get bumped or broken. So I keep it safely tucked away in this corner by the heater so that nobody can touch it. And it really needs to be in a place that it's seen. And I know I'm not supposed to be attached to stuff like this. That every time I start getting attached to stuff, I lose everything. Everything's taken from me. And I know that's to teach me no attachments, Livette. But I am attached to this thing. I love it. And I love it so much I want to share it. I've had it for several months. And I just admire it every time I walk by it. And it needs a place of prominence to where it can be seen. But I'm just protective over it. You'll see why when you see it. And I don't even know how this person managed to ship this thing to me. My goodness, and what that must have cost. But I absolutely adore it. When it's nothing more than like a yard art or something, really. But wait till you see it. I'll work out a way to get some pictures. All right, people. Love y'all bunches. Thank you for the donations. I know every little bit counts. I did get one nice donation this month. Most are $10, $20. And like I said, every little bit counts. So I appreciate even the little ones. I have one precious fellow. I'm even going to call you out. I don't normally call out people. But Randy's been with me for a long time. And he sends me $5 when he can. And it might be a few months here and there. But I appreciate you so much. I really do. Just knowing that it's not the amount that you give. It's that I know you truly give it from your heart. And it's for you. It took me a long time to learn to receive. I didn't know how. I'd always been the giver. But it was Randy who made me realize that if I don't receive your gift in the nature that it was given, then I'm blocking you from a blessing. Because I get it. It's greater to give than to receive. There's nothing I find greater happiness and joy in, and is than helping someone that needs it, being able to be in a position to give and to do it, expecting nothing in return. It's like buying the kids Christmas presents, buying presents for kids who's not going to get a Christmas, and seeing that look on their face, just being able to give. It's an incredible feeling. And I realized Randy taught me that if I don't receive, then he can't have that happiness of giving to me. And so I learned my lesson. And I appreciate you very much. And I thank you all, everybody that donates to this channel. There aren't many, but those of you who do, you're the ones that help keep this going. You can take just as much credit for what these videos as myself. And I have a couple that's really reached out to me in the past few years that's just kept me in equipment. I can't tell you the computers I've gone through. And I've never really had what you would call a brand new one. It's always something redone or refurbished, and but they're all great in great shape, but I just go through them. The one good one I had that had been with me for a while, it got stolen. So that broke my heart. But I really wasn't that attached to it. I guess I was more angry than heartbroken over it all. But I shouldn't even be that. I shouldn't even be that. It's just stuff. It's just stuff. And this is a time of deception. And we're near the end of the game. The film runs out. The show is over. There is no Battle of Armageddon. It never happens. It's just show's over. It's like it was a trial run and we didn't make it again. So, but after that is a judgment. And it's not about mercy and grace. It is about what you've done here. So when I tell you to go out and bank that karma, that's what I mean. And you open that door for that old lady. You say thank you and yes and please. And if you see somebody hurting, then you bend down and you give them a hug. If a hug is all you've got, then a hug that's all that's required. That's karma. When you do it to the least of these, you've done it to me. You don't have to give to these big foundations and organizations. The people that need you are in your path every day. They're your neighbors. They're the people you get on the bus with. They're the people you work with. You see them every day. They're part of your life. That's where you're accountable. It's watching that person sit there begging for something and you just walk by. It's the story of the Good Samaritan. That's banking karma. That's storing up your treasures in heaven. Those are your works. What else would be called works? I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to close this after I do this, but I want to talk about the first time I had the life review. And I've talked about it before. You relive all these moments in your life. You go over your whole life. Well, you know how I'm always talking about it's not what's there, it's what's not there. Well, I'm going to tell you what is not in a life review. Me skipping school was not in my life review. Me smoking cigarettes was not in my life review. Things that I were told that was bad was never in my life review. What was how I affected people emotionally. You review your interactions with other people and the emotional responses that everybody felt. Whether you made them happy or whether you made them sad, whether you hurt them, that's what you experience. That's what you review. You don't review what we call mistakes or what is called sin. Sin. Not one sexual act I ever did was reviewed. That just didn't seem to be there. There was no need in it. But what was reviewed was every interaction I ever had with somebody that evoked emotion, whether negative or positive. But this other crap that people call sin, nope, nothing about gambling, nothing about smoking pot, nothing about drinking a beer, nothing about none of that. Nope, wasn't there. It's just whether or not I made people happy, sad, angry, mad. That's it. That's what you review. The rest is just fluff. It's just fluff. Love one another. Love your enemy. Love your neighbor. Because that's all there is. At the end of the day, and love is a verb. It's something you have to do, not something you feel. Be good to your neighbor. Be good to your kids. Be good to your neighbor's kid. Like Maurice Cottrell said, be good to your neighbor's kid. Everybody's good to their own kids. You have to be good to your neighbor's kids. And that's good works. I love y'all bunches. You know what to do. You do you. And you do the best you can do. And you finish this race. And I'll see you at the finish line.